bought this inexpensive oscillating spindle sander, it was for one project. Now it seems like I'm using it all the time. Out of sheer expedience, I just set it on top of this rickety old stand. I never even fastened the thing down. And this stand is too tall and it lacks storage. And to top it off, now I'm thinking about buying a combination belt disc sander. So I think it's finally time to build a dedicated sanding center for my shop. The first step in designing a new shop fixture is to make a wish list. What are the design criteria that's going to make this a successful project for your shop? The first criteria on my wish list is mobility and stability. Everything in my shop is on wheels. It has to be. And it's got to be stable. This unit only weighs 25 or 30 pounds, but the combination belt disc sander that I'm looking to buy weighs 104 pounds. Any fixture that I design for my shop has to be designed to keep me better organized, to be more efficient, to give me additional storage, to save space. This sure didn't do it. You see, I've got sanders on top of cabinets piled up. I've got sanding supplies in an old cabinet that I built years ago. It's hanging up too high. I've got stuff everywhere, and it really needs to get organized. And as long as we're talking about storage, I want to make sure that when I put drawers in this new sanding center, that I have overextension slides so that I can get right into the back of the drawer and get something out without having to rearrange everything else in the drawer. Neat and clean, that's the way to go in a shop. So with two sanders sitting on top of this new cabinet, I'm going to have two dust collection hoses and two power cords. So I don't want to have a bird's nest behind these machines, so I'd like to figure out something in my design criteria to make it neater. On the new cabinet that I build, I will definitely fasten the equipment down to the top. But I want to fasten it down in such a way that I can easily remove the equipment if I ever need to use that fixture for something else. I'll have to figure that into my design. This little spindle sander was inexpensive, but you know, it's performed wonderfully. But one of these days, I just know I'm going to have to replace it. And when I do, I'll probably replace it with something a little bigger, a little more powerful. And I need to future-proof my design so that I can accommodate a larger spindle sander down the road. And who knows, I may even get a third piece of sanding equipment. I better be ready for it. After making a wish list, the next step is to get the critical dimensions before you finish a design of a project. For me, a critical dimension is working height. Now this was easy because it's easy to move around. Right now I have the spindle sander sitting on top of my I-beam work supports. I wound up putting a couple of 3/4 inch spacers underneath it and got the height pretty much right where I'd like it. It measures from the floor to the base 31 inches. Now in my shop, the casters that I use, they're locking wheels, measure 4 inches. So that means that the cabinet itself will need to be 27 inches in height. The question is that the correct height for the combination belt disc sander that I haven't even ordered yet? In order to come up with the right working height for the belt disc sander, I downloaded some information off the internet. I've got a picture and I've got some specifications. So then I got some old cardboard boxes and I went to work. I started taping pieces together. I started with the disc part of the sander first and built a model of that. Then I moved on to the belt part of the sander and I built a model of that. Then I found a box that was about the right height, then I stacked it all up. And I wound up with a model that looks pretty much like the picture. Pretty good, huh? There are really 4 different operator positions for a combo sander like this. There's the disc over here on this side, and there's a work table that goes across where you put your material. It's about halfway down the disc. That's a little low, but it's a good compromise since there's 2 working heights here on this combo sander. The other position that you'll use a lot is on the top, on the flat part of the belt. There's a work stop here on the end that keeps the material from shooting off because the belt is spinning this way. So that's about perfect. It's almost exactly the same height as the oscillating spindle sander. Occasionally you might want to come over to the end and sand a concave piece on the end of this roller. Pretty good height for that too. And on this particular model of sander, the entire belt assembly tilts up any angle really to 90 degrees, and that work stop then becomes a fence. And you can put your wood up against the sanding belt and really hog off a lot of material really fast. So all in all, although it's a little bit of a compromise, I think the working height of this is going to be perfect at 31 inches. Now with the height confirmed and the model set up at this end where you can work here, here, or over here, I'm going to pretend that this is the other end of the cabinet so you can work on this side for the spindle sander. Spacing it out like this gives me an overall length of this table of 42 inches. Gives me some extra space in the middle for another machine down the road, and certainly for dust collection and power cords. I've decided to make the overall width 26 inches. That's a little wider than the overall length of this machine and plenty wide for this and a bigger machine down the road. So I've got my basic dimensions worked out. Now what I need to do is figure out the drawer sizes. Figuring out drawer sizes is just a matter of laying everything out and taking some measurements. I want a drawer that will hold nothing but all my boxes of Festool sanding discs. So I laid a few of them out on the floor and took some measurements. I need another drawer to hold all my miscellaneous equipment. Pad, belt, and disc sanders that are all piled up right now. I could get organized into one drawer. So I laid those out and took some measurements there too. And I'd really like a drawer where I can organize my sheet sandpaper. Maybe some type of stacked, staggered arrangement. Kind of like a letter file where I can see the different grits and pull a sheet out easily. I need a drawer also for sanding sleeves, but I need to make it a little taller. The sleeves I use now are 4.5 inches long. But a bigger spindle sander seems to use 5.5 or 6-inch sleeves, so I'll size it for that. And of course, everybody needs a junk drawer. A junk drawer will hold all the little miscellaneous doodads and thingamajigs that are involved in my sanding efforts. I've got sanding blocks, I've got these little eraser things that clean up your sandpaper. I've even got stacks of used sandpaper. Used, but not quite used enough to throw away. Wow, that's a lot of junk. I'll make a drawer to fit that stuff too. With all the critical dimensions worked out, I made a quick sketch just to see what it's going to look like and to make sure I didn't overlook anything. Let's take a look. Okay, I'll give you a second to quit laughing. I know. The drawing's pretty bad. But what I tried to do was make a little 3D sketch here of what I'm planning on building. As we know, it's going to be 42 inches long, 26 inches wide, overall height of 31 inches, meaning the cabinet's going to be 27 inches high because the wheels raise it up 4 inches off the ground. And I've drawn in, sort of, the combo sander down here, which would have operator positions here, here, and occasionally back here as well. And then I've also drawn in the spindle sander, and the operating position will be over here. So what I decided to do was to split this cabinet down here and put in 3 really large drawers here, and then I want to put 4 drawers in from the other end. And that should give me all the storage that I need for everything sanding related in my shop. So got to do some detailed drawings now and figure out the joinery and how much plywood to get and what size drawer slides and things like that. So let's go take a look. Normally I draw very little, if anything at all, but this time I actually had to make 3 drawings. I needed to work out the dado locations, and I needed to get the fabrication steps clear in my own mind. And importantly, I needed to work out the drawer sizes and locations. So let's zoom in and I'll show you what I've got so far. The first drawing that I did is what I'm calling a top view. Think of it as looking down on this cabinet without the top on it, just showing the vertical support pieces. There's really only 4 pieces. There's a center divider piece, there's a short piece across here, a full piece across here that I'm calling the back, and an end piece down here. This is the end where the combo belt disc sander will be located. I'll have drawers this direction. This open section will have drawers because I wanted some really wide drawers on that side. And then I'm going to have drawers coming in from this direction on this end. This is the operator position for the spindle sander. And I'll have a little narrower drawers here going in. Let me take a look at this, what I'm calling the front view. I really don't know what's the front and the back on this thing, but this is showing the 3 large drawers that are basically under the combo sander. They're nominally 9-inch, 8-inch, and 7-inch. Those are the drawer fronts. The drawers themselves may be a smidge smaller than that, but this is going to accommodate an awful lot of stuff. And then at the operator position for the spindle sander, the end of the unit, I've got 4 drawers there. 8-inch, 7-inch, 5-inch, and 3.5-inch. These top 2 drawers, the smaller drawers, are going to be my junk drawers. I should get a lot of stuff in those 2 drawers. So all that's left to do now is to make up a little cut list, get some materials on order, and we're ready to start building. So I hope you'll come back for the next video, and I really appreciate you watching this one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.